we live in a terribly polarized era in the United States, and it is very difficult, sometimes almost impossible, to get many defections from the other side. That's true on both sides. So I tend to think we've been through this before, and the year was 2016, and many of the Republicans you've seen over the past 2 days either endorsed Hillary Clinton or did not endorse Donald Trump, and its impact was near zero. So I'm not saying there aren't Republican voters who are going to defect to Joe Biden. There are, but they tend to be more establishment Republican voters. And it certainly wasn't enough to make a difference or come even close to making a difference in 2016. Biden might have a little more success because he has a reputation, really from his years in the Senate, as being bipartisan. I still think it's a tough uphill climb, and the Republican votes are very unlikely to be the votes that make the difference in November.
What will make the difference then, Professor, if you can kind of give us your insights into what the projections at the Center for Politics are showing at the moment? Because it seems as though the Biden-Harris ticket came into this convention on a favorable note, but some of those battleground states are still looking pretty close. What's your assessment?
Well, if you look at the overall polling average, which is what I tend to favor rather than any individual poll, because we tend to pick a poll that is closest to our personal view and say, well, this obviously is the best poll. No, it really isn't. And so you have to be disciplined. And the polling average right now has Joe Biden winning by about 8.5 percentage points. Remember, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by a little over 2 percentage points, and it wasn't quite enough to win. 8.5 percentage points, for that matter, I think 5 or 6 percentage points would guarantee Biden a healthy majority in the Electoral College. So I tend to view this now as Biden being a favorite, maybe a clear favorite. I want to see what the Republicans do next week at their convention. But once we get through the two conventions, given the state of the pandemic, which is horrible in the United States, we have 4% of the world's population and 25% of the deaths in the entire world. The pandemic is unlikely to get all that much better. The economy may mend some. I don't think it's going to mend dramatically. And so the basic conditions are set. Because they're set, it is going to be awfully difficult for Donald Trump to get up that hill again. He did it 4 years ago. Maybe he'll do it again, but the path isn't obvious.
Right. Professor, good morning. Thank you for joining in this conversation. What if between now and the election date, the economic data that comes out reflects that things are indeed on the mend? And, we're also expecting Q3 GDP numbers to bounce back, come in at record levels. How much of that would influence voter sentiment?
Oh, it would influence it some. And if people are convinced that we're on a path to substantial recovery, if not total recovery, then that would help Trump. Also, if there is a convincing release of a vaccine, that is news about a vaccine, that it really does work and it's been properly tested, it wouldn't have to be distributed before the election, which is a near impossibility. But the fact that there would be a vaccine would create a good feeling, probably would give a boost to the stock market, and that would have an impact on the electorate too.